We got a whole nothing, zero
I'm
donut.
in there.
Oh, my old days, we got zero.
I threw it out into the interwebs, though, guys. I did throw it out there because I have it on my computer now.
Well, it is Sunday, guys, so we got to, you know. Let me put this on. You put it on the thingies, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Did we do visionaries? Yeah, you did. Okay.
3 of
Everybody's chilling on this. Oh, look at 3 people. Is that me, you, and Trent?
It's us 3.
them. There could be.
The Sunday conversation.
Oh, that
I
is
know on
funny.
all my videos, the first 4 views definitely my 4 profiles.
Yeah. Did you guys see? Did you guys see your hourly buy just go through? Look pretty good.
Yes, I did.
Didn't even beep at me. Oh, I
Yes,
muted it because
did.
you were ringing me.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bitcoin
You're
is
fired.
Bitcoin's doing its thing right now, bro.
Fanny's gonna be the first. She's gonna be the first comment. Let's see.
To her defense, she is on the phone with one of our friends from Hawaii.
Oh, she's not. Okay, let's see who's gonna be it. Oh, Spaceman!
Ah, he beat me.
Even my dudes.
Space, man.
Wait. Beat you. I see Satman here, sir. What do you
Oh,
mean?
my
you?
apologies. My
Even my
partner.
dudes. Spaceman, what's going on, bro?
What's up, Jack?
Good to see you, man. My man Jack. Just gonna have a Sunday conversation, guys. We're just chilling, man, letting our hair down. Sweating and smiling together. How are you, sir? My man doing the burpees in the morning.
Really?
Yeah, he kills those burpees.
Are they into fitness? They're into fitness?
Yes, he does a fitness live stream.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's why it's called Sweating and Smiling Together. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go subscribe to that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's sweating.
Oh, okay. I'm slacking.
For sure, man. Yeah, we're just hanging out. Nothing. We have literally nothing planned. No videos pulled up.
No, I love it. It's organic.
I'm in the blind. I don't know what the hell. Well, I do know a couple of things. I have to, but it's just I can't watch dumb shit. I gotta watch. You know what I mean?
I feel like you have something in the queue, bro.
Well, of course, but am I gonna use it? No. Maybe.
Oh, that's great.
I do have one video I do want to watch. It's about daylight savings time.
I
I hate it.
They're talking about getting rid of it. Now, again, they fucking talk about it every year, of course.
Yeah.
But I watched a video on it today. Maybe we can look at that one. Anyways, Trent, we're gonna start you off, man, because you're the silent man for the week. Be pretty quiet. Well, how was your week, sir? How you been?
I have been good. A lot of work drama that I'm not going to go into, but I've been keeping busy working on that app. I've been whittling away at it most of the week. Yeah, basically just working on that, and I put up a video or 2.
Yes, you did, didn't you? Let's take a look at that. Hold on.
Not on my main channel.
Oh, which one?
It's on the music channel.
Oh, what's that?
I think I put up a short today. That doesn't count.
It's an off ramp.
Bitcoin. Every time I type in the Bitcoin technician, the Bitcoin mechanic comes up too.
Wow.
What a guy.
Must be saying something. By the way, guys, if you really want to watch a video, we don't have to, but have you guys seen Matthew Cratter's video? Matthew Cratter went absolutely nuclear on Michael Saylor, man.
Yeah,
Because of the fake out, or
just everything. He's basically talking about how strategy can go to zero. And let's just say
more likely than Bitcoin.
Yeah. And let's just say he did not hold back, ladies and gentlemen. He did not hold back. And it's a long video. It's 25 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And he went in. He went absolute in. You know how he says ship coins with a P? Well, let's just say he didn't use a P this time. He was not a family-friendly show on that one.
He's definitely not one to steer away from what he thinks. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. He definitely yeah. But he does not like what and after I watched it, I gotta say, because what do we do, guys, right? We work, we do our thing, and we listen to people that are in the know and people we trust. That's what we do, and that's what kind of like we are. We're kind of like people that work behind the scenes on this Bitcoin information, whatever thing, and then people come to us for some news or whatever our thoughts. Well, this guy Matthew Cratter, I think he's top tier, man, when it comes to knowing stuff about what's going on with Bitcoin, and because of his background in he's a former hedge fund manager. I think he used to. I want to say he worked with Peter Thiel. I think he said, or one of those people, one of those big high people. He knows the game, and he broke down MSTR like no other. And basically, the MNAV that strategy is using is BS.
Wow, that's
And
huge.
he went in, man. I kind of want to watch it. I know it's long, but it's up to you guys. Whatever, doesn't matter to me.
Don't bother me.
I mean, we could pick and pull it apart.
Okay,
You know, that's cool. Because that's only gonna. That's what has that video. 25 minutes, you said?
Yeah, I'll put it on. I'll put it on a few second speed, like 115.
Yeah.
Quicker. Well, let's get a few people in here because I want to. I don't, you know.
I like what he's doing because I mean, at the end of the day, you know, it's always good to have. You always want to push back at everything, right? I even love it when people push on Bitcoin because it's like you need that. You need people to push back on anything and everything because it's always a stress test, right? Or you want to try to find. People always are trying to find holes in anything, you know. So and I'll be honest with you, man. There's not a lot of stuff that Cratter does that I think, respectfully so, that we don't really disagree with. I mean, there's some things here and there, but majority of the stuff he talks about, I think we're all pretty much on the same boat. You know,
Informationally, I'm good with Cratter. I just some of his videos, bro.
I know.
Yeah,
we're gonna speed it up. We're gonna speed it up. Like I've had females around. They're like, and I play it, and they go, "Are we going to sleep or are we learning?" Like,
Is this
he's
ASMR?
Yeah, he's my zen. He's my zen. But you know, he's a and I'm gonna make a video about this. I don't know if anybody's ever talked about this, but you know how I always say, and you always say, Bitcoin is political, and it is. But Bitcoin is political inside and out, right? We have, you know, outside U.S. politics or whatever, geopolitical stuff, but Bitcoin also has its own politics inside of the, you know, manosphere or whatever, the sphere inside of Bitcoin, whether it's we're going to do a soft fork of the BIP 110, whether people are going to use core or not.
Yeah, it's its own economy.
Yeah, it's its own economy. You know what I'm saying? And when you want to know something about it, I like to listen to people that are obsessed with the subject and study it and are very smart. And that's Matthew Cratter. Matthew Cratter knows his S. You know what I'm saying? So you know what? We're going to go ahead and watch that, guys. We'll stop it when some more comments come in. But I want to check this out together. I think it's going to be a very interesting video. So without further ado, let's check out the great Matthew Cratter on how MSTR can go to zero.
This is Matthew Cratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to talk about how MSTR can go to zero. And first, a disclaimer, I've never owned MSTR, Stretch, or any other strategy securities, and I never will. So let's start with something that's boring, but it is important. So just stick with me for a moment. This is how capital structure works for a company. Some folks are senior, some folks are junior. And in a liquidation, senior folks get paid before junior folks. And if there's not enough stuff, in other words, enough assets to divide up, then those at the bottom starve. There's no soup for them. Think of it like a waterfall where the assets are sold for cash, and then the proceeds flow down the capital structure from top to bottom. So starting with senior secured debt and then senior unsecured debt down to junior debt, down to the various classes of preferred stock like Stretch and Stride and Strife and Strike and Stray or whatever it's called, and then ending up at the very, very bottom, those who have the last claim on assets in a liquidation after everyone else would be the common stock, which in this case is MSTR. So if Bitcoin crashed and strategy had to be divided up and fed to the Wall Street vultures, people at the top of that list would get paid first, and those at the bottom would get paid only if there was enough soup, in other words, enough assets to go around. Even among the preferred stocks, there's a separate waterfall. So if you own one of these preferreds, like Stretch, for example, you might want to research where you stand. You could ask ChatGPT or Grok who gets paid before you, what exactly the waterfall looks like in the preferred stocks. Because if you go and read the fine print, it can get quite complicated. So I haven't done that because basically I don't even care about these preferreds, but I think people should be aware of the risks. A lot of retail investors who own MSTR Stretch don't seem to understand these details. They don't realize that there are people ahead of them in the capital structure. If you hold MSTR and think that your position is somehow backed by that $62 billion worth of Bitcoin, that strategy holds, you are definitely wrong about this, because you as a common shareholder get paid after everyone else in that waterfall. So I want to put together some back of the envelope math, and this is all taken from Strategy's own website. And I used the value of the Bitcoin reserves on Friday when it closed. I used the total assumed diluted shares outstanding. So this looks at.
Now, keep in mind, Matthew Cratter, this is his business. He used to do this kind of stuff. And again, he's using their own numbers. All right. So keep that in mind.
All the convertible bonds, everything that could convert to the common, and takes into account dilution, 381 million shares. So I built a little spreadsheet here, which you can play around with. They have Strategy has 843,738 Bitcoin. I'm using the most recent price of Bitcoin, so just right around where it was trading yesterday when the market closed, and where it's still trading today, 73,520. So that values, I just multiplied those two things together to get about $62 billion worth of assets on Strategy's balance sheet. And then you have the convertible debt holders. They come first. They come ahead of the preferred stockholders. So that's about 6.7 billion. It was closer to 8 or so, but Saylor just recently retired about $1.5 billion worth of convertible bonds. Strangely, he did it with money that was raised, I believe, by selling the common stock and was meant to be used to pay the Stretch dividend, but he used it to retire some convertible debt. Either way, we have the convertible debt people ahead of all the preferreds, and then we have all the preferred Strife and Stretch, most importantly here at $10.5 billion worth of that, going all the way down to Stride. And so if you net all of these other holders out, the value of that Bitcoin, that's $62 billion, once all these people get paid in a liquidation, and again, you can assume that in a liquidation, there's going to be quite a bit of chaos, the price of Bitcoin will be lower, etc. But that takes you down to about $39-40 billion. And so then if you just divide by the number of shares outstanding, and again, I'm using all Saylor's numbers, you end up with the current fair value, or really the liquidation value. I wouldn't say the fair value, but the liquidation value, about $104 per share. Currently, or on Friday, MSTR closed at about $159 per share. Obviously, there's a premium here because this is not a dead concern. This is ongoing concern. In other words, this is a business that's not even close to being liquidated. But this is sort of the premium you get, and this premium collapses when people think that it's just going to be vultures dividing up the Strategy body and dividing up these $62 billion worth. So what we can do is we can play around with this and see if at what point Strategy might get into some sort of stress. So what happens if Bitcoin goes down to $60,000 per coin? Then the fair value, or the liquidation value per share of MSTR, would be $74.50. What happens if we go down to 30,000? You can see because these preferred shares essentially count as leverage on the balance sheet, or they help to lever up the common. If we go down to 30,000, we can see how quickly things start to liquidate. We're down to $8 per share. And then the magic number, I already tried this before, is about $26,290. $26,290 per Bitcoin. At that point, you're basically at zero or slightly negative. And so all these other people get made whole ahead of you. Have about the value of the Bitcoin at $26,000 per coin is about 22 billion. And once you pay off all the preferred shareholders, as well as the convertible debt holders, and make them whole, there's nothing left over for MicroStrategy. So what this should make quite clear to everyone is that MSTR can go to zero long before Bitcoin goes to zero. Here's Bitcoin still at $26,000 per coin, and MSTR has completely been zeroed out. I think it's also important to note, as I said, at the back of the envelope math that I've just done in that spreadsheet.
Okay, let's stop right there. That is very interesting. Now, what are the chances we're going to go down to just over 26,000? Probably very low. That's the first time I've ever had anybody seen it like that broken down. What are you guys' thoughts on that part right there?
It's sound math. Of course, he's really good at that part. It's just not how markets work, though. Like, he'll borrow more money, buy more Bitcoin. He'll leverage more of the MSTR. He'll split the stock. He could just be a hype man and overinflate the MSTR price. It doesn't have to be worth. It's worth whatever they say it's worth, or whatever people buy it at. Just because it's not, the math doesn't add up to the 290. Doesn't matter. It could be over worth. A lot of factors not factored in, but yeah, it's math sound.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think there is a lot of moving parts here. I don't think he'll ever let it get to that point. I mean, if it ever gets to that point where it's like, where he's having to start put fires out, then yeah, he'll go to splits, or he'll figure out some ways to gain more capital or something like that, because he's really good at that. And I think more than what we know, he's built those channels up with people or institutions or wherever he's able to get that from. He's building those relationships up. And I don't think he's open in public with those. Obviously, I think he keeps those close to his chest. But my issue is this, okay? My issue is that I get the math. It's crazy. So what's the number? 26.2, basically 26.2. That's the oh shit moment, right? For me, it's just I just don't understand. I mean, just own the underlying asset. Like, I don't understand with the whole like the strife and the strike and the stretch and the this and the that and the this. It sounds like a rap song. You know what I mean?
I own MSTR because it's the only thing I can do in my IRA. That is
okay. So that makes sense though. Yeah, for you to own every other part of it and everything. I just don't understand it.
Could you have done IBIT or?
I did IBIT. Did we lose Jerry?
No, I'm here.
Oh, you froze on my screen.
No, I wasn't froze. On my end, you froze.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I picked something, honestly.
Okay, say that again. Sorry.
Basically, I went with MSTR because I wanted more leverage on the Bitcoin. It's like a 2 to 3x leverage versus IBIT.
Okay. Sorry, Anthony. Go ahead. Continue.
No. I just like I've looked into this stuff in general, and it's just you guys. I think you already know. I've already said it before. It's just not for me, but I just think it's just too many moving parts, and I think from a mental space for me, I just like to keep it just simple, cruise control, buying every hour on the hour type stuff. But that's because I don't have like 401k. I don't have all that stuff. I don't have any of that. I don't do all that. Everything just goes directly in. Everything is like, I'm literally like everything I have.
If I could take it and just take the cash, I would.
Yeah.
What's funny about that is Paul the GOAT. He was in a similar situation, I believe, as you, Trent. But he cashed his out. He paid the penalties. He cashed it out, and he paid some heavy penalties and taxes.
And I might do that if I ever, leave. I almost said the word. I almost said my job word. But if I leave my job, I might do that if I head overseas or something.
Yeah. And now, of course, when I say this, obviously price is relative, but he sold when it was about $8,000 Bitcoin.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now again, we're looking at 73,000. Like, wow, $8,000 to 73,000. Yeah, that's relatively small. But if we sold now, let's say, because I have a retirement portfolio too. I can cash it out when I'm 59.5. I decided not to do that because I'm a little older and I'm closer to it. He was in his 40s or 30s or 40s when he did it. You're young as well, Trent.
Yeah.
So he just said he just took the fees, took the penalties, and did his thing. And now, again, up front it hurt, but now
only
in the back,
10% plus taxes.
Yeah. If there's one thing I've learned about Matthew Cratter is that he's always worried about something. Lately, yes, that's very true. Spaceman.
I'd agree.
Hey, Backpacker and Trent, how y'all managed to get it? How y'all managed to get YouTuber Sal? How y'all managed to get YouTuber Sal on as a guest host this week? That's neat, guys. Well, let me tell you who he's talking about. Let me show you who he's talking about. He's talking about a guy. Let's see. He's talking about this guy here. He's talking about this guy right here, Sal. Sal is probably about 500 and something pounds. He used to be 700 something pounds. Oh, sorry.
Is that the weight loss journey guy? I love his videos.
Yeah, he says he used to be 720 pounds. Now he's 5 something. Mm-hmm. And he always calls me Sal now. So that's me, I guess. I said, well, I don't think so, the troll, but thank you anyways. I appreciate it. Let's get back into it.
Bitcoin still at $26,000 per coin, and MSTR has completely been zeroed out. I think it's also important to note, as I said, at the back of the envelope math that I've just done in that spreadsheet assumes a liquidation scenario. And we're certainly, as I said again, nowhere close to that today with strategy. But investing is all about skating to where the puck is going to be, not where it is right now. And so we have to think about what happens in deep bear markets. We're currently in a bear market. The question is how much deeper it could get. And if strategy starts to get distressed, there's this kind of vicious circle where it starts to having to sell Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin goes lower and then gets more distressed. So it's also important to understand that strategy's Bitcoin holdings are so large that things could get quite chaotic in a reflexive way if strategy ever approaches a liquidation scenario where we could see Bitcoin plummet even more every time the sailor moves more Bitcoin to exchanges in order to sell them and to pay the dividend or buy out various share classes or retire more debt. If you're finding this video interesting, I just pause really briefly here to ask you to hit that subscribe button. That does really help. Or if you were previously subscribed to the channel, make sure that you haven't been auto unsubscribed, as a lot of people have been. So then there's another problem with strategy. This other problem, most retail investors in MSTR and Stretch are unaware that strategy is currently in a very tough spot where it's impossible to sell more MSTR shares and buy more Bitcoin in an accretive way. In other words, in a way that adds shareholder value rather than destroying shareholder value. Wondering why sailors pivoted to talking about Stretch every day and raising new capital that way. It's because he can no longer sell shares in an accretive way, common shares, MSTR shares in an accretive way, as long as the true MNAV remains below 1.0. So the true MNAV, the way I think it should be calculated, is the market cap divided by the total value of the Bitcoin holdings. True MNAV needs to be greater than 1.0 in order for Saylor to work his real magic. And right now it's well below that level. Based on closing prices yesterday, we're actually at about 0.9 rather than 1.0. So quite far away from him being able to basically tap the ATM and sell more MSTR shares. Now, the question is this a bear market artifact? Or is the market deciding that Bitcoin treasury companies are only slightly better than closed-end funds and thus deserve to trade at a permanent discount to MNAV? And if I were senior in the capital structure, if I owned one of these preferreds and I saw that the common shareholders, basically this is telling you the fact that this is below 1 is already telling you that the common is trading as if it would not be made whole in a liquidation. So we have to decide, is this just a bear market compressing multiples, compressing MNAV? Or has the market decided that these companies are only slightly better than closed-end funds and thus deserve to trade at a permanent discount to the NAV? There should be NAV like closed-end funds do. Now, obviously, MSTR is not a closed-end fund. There's flexibility, et cetera, and the capital structure can be changed. But this is a sign of distress that it's trading below 1.0. We can see the chart of this. I'm not sure how accurate this MNAV multiplier is, what it's using, because it's currently at 1. If we go down here and look at MNAV basic, which is defined as, the way I define it, just market cap divided by the total US dollar value of the Bitcoin holdings, we're at 0.87. I calculate 0.90. Obviously, the price of Bitcoin is moving around on the weekend. But we can see, I like this chart just because it shows you at least relatively where the MNAV has been. And again, I think they're using something closer to enterprise value here divided by Bitcoin holdings. But if we go and look at the 5-year chart, this is pretty unusual for the MNAV to be below 1 and stay below here. We had it sort of spike below it during the previous bear market. And then we had some people were arguing ridiculous things like this MNAV should trade at 5 or 10 or something. But I don't think we're ever going to see these days again where the MNAV multiplier is in the 2s and the 3s or even the high 1s. And right now, as we said, it's below 1. So I would argue that even using this form of MNAV, market cap divided by value of the Bitcoin holdings, is not conservative enough because it sneaks in as an assumption, which is that common shareholders have a claim on all of that Bitcoin. And they don't, as we saw above, because the debt holders and the preferred stockholders get paid ahead of the common stockholders in the liquidation. So I think true MNAV should be calculated more like market cap divided by Bitcoin holdings minus everyone else who gets paid first, minus total debt, minus total preferred stock, because that really is what is available to the common shareholders. And that's how you calculate market cap. It's just the number of common shares outstanding times the price of one of those shares. That's the market.
Were you thinking something right there, Trent?
Usually. The
Yeah,
ADD kind of brought me around.
Do you want to say something or no?
It honestly was not even on topic.
I thought you were questioning math.
My mind was going.
Okay, fair enough.
Market cap, sort of just by definition. So I think it makes more sense if you're looking at common shareholders to net out what the debt holders and the preferred stockholders get first. But it gets even worse than that because Saylor's using an alternate version of MNAV that I think is extremely misleading. If we go to strategy.com, we can see here that he is saying that the MNAV is 1.25. And if we mouse over it, multiple of the Bitcoin reserve calculated by dividing enterprise value by the Bitcoin, the value of the Bitcoin holdings. So it's basically enterprise value divided by Bitcoin holdings. The way you calculate enterprise value, it's essentially the value of the enterprise. If I wanted to buy Strategy, for example, what would it cost? And it's a way of looking at the value of an enterprise without having to worry about the capital structure. And the way it's calculated, basically, let's imagine I wanted to buy Strategy. I would have to buy out all the shareholders. So that's basically the market cap. I'd have to take out all the common shareholders. I'd have to assume the debt. So in the calculation of enterprise value, you add back in the debt, you add back in the preferreds because they function a lot like debt, as we're going to see, and then you net out the cash, because if I pay cash for the cash portion of a company, those sort of things net each other out, and that's more a capital structure choice rather than the value of the enterprise. So EV, enterprise value, the way Saylor's calculating it, divided by Bitcoin holdings. That's his MNAV, rather than just having market cap in the numerator, market cap divided by BTC holdings. Now, I think this is extremely misleading because, to begin with, it includes debt and preferreds in the numerator, while failing, as we said before, to deduct those senior claims from the Bitcoin holdings in the denominator. Because remember, debt holders, preferred stockholders get paid first. So a more honest version, in my opinion, would be basically market cap. You have enterprise value in the numerator, and then in the denominator, you net out all of the Bitcoin that's actually available by subtracting out the debt and preferreds. I think that would make more sense. If you're going to have it in the numerator, you should have that in the denominator too, some of the capital structure pieces. So that's a more honest ratio, but again, it tells you nothing about Strategy's ability to raise capital by selling common stock at a premium to net Bitcoin holdings. The way you calculate that is just a real MNAV, market cap divided by Bitcoin. And I think that's a much more useful metric because it tells you whether Saylor can work his magic, and he can only do that if that MNAV is above 1.0. So it would appear that Saylor's chosen the metric that just so happens to look better on the dashboard. Would you rather see an MNAV of 1.25 or an MNAV of 0.90? This would raise a lot of red flags if people saw it. And not a lot of people are going to go here and actually look at how it's calculated. Most investors in Stretch and MSTR don't even know what enterprise value is. So I think this latter MNAV, where just the market cap divided by Bitcoin holdings, is a more useful metric since it immediately tells everyone that Strategy needs to lean on debt and preferreds, issuing these kind of securities instead to raise capital until its MNAV gets back above 1.0. Remember when Saylor used to brag about paying a 0% interest rate to buy Bitcoin? He had those convertible bonds, for example, where there was still equity dilution, but he could brag that he was basically buying Bitcoin at a 0% financing rate. Now he's paying an 11.5% interest rate to buy Bitcoin. That's basically the dividend of Stretch of STRC. And he's had to raise this preferred dividend on Stretch about 7 times, from $9 per share all the way up to $11.50 per share, in order to try to keep Stretch trading close to par, $100 per share. And I will say in this video what I've said in previous videos: I've spent a long time in TradFi, almost 30 years, and I've never seen a product that traded at a high yield, that was pegged, and that tried to take out all the volatility, that did not end up blowing up. That's not to say that Stretch is going to blow up, but these things always have problems. It's very, very hard. This is sort of the holy grail, to pin something to where its value doesn't fluctuate, and then to pay a very, very high yield on it. So I'm quite skeptical that this will continue. And you can see that the market has demanded that Saylor keep increasing the dividend from $9 all the way up to $11.50 in order to peg it at $100 per share. So at some point, this is how you lose the peg. With the market wants to get paid even more to compensate for the risk they're taking over the risk-free rate. And to be very clear, Saylor has said in various presentations I've seen that Stretch is somehow the digital risk-free rate. This is complete, absolute nonsense. This should never be compared to a money market. This is much, much more risky. So remember as well that Stretch is a perpetual preferred, so it really needs to be paid forever if Saylor wants to keep Stretch close to $100 per share. So this dividend of $11.50 can't really ever go away, because if Saylor ever cuts the dividend, Stretch will fall just like any other common or preferred stock. If you've ever been in a stock and the dividend gets cut, what will happen usually, the stock will sell off. It'll look like it's trading at a very high dividend yield, and then half of that, or 3/4 of that dividend payment, will go away, and all of a sudden you'll be back at 3%, and you'll realize that you're in a failing company that's cutting its dividend. So this is why Saylor can never cut this, especially if this is going to be his main financing vehicle. And this is also this idea that Stretch, it's a perpetual preferred. It has this dividend that needs to keep being paid. This is why financial analysts will often treat a security of preferred stock like Stretch as debt rather than equity. A preferred stock sounds like it should be equity, but in this case, it does function a lot more like debt. simply because it's never convertible into common shares, into MSTR. And the dividend itself is like this perpetual annual bond coupon payment that needs to be paid forever, albeit adjustable. He can adjust it, so it's not like a bond in that sense, with a fixed coupon payment. And also, the other reason this looks a lot like debt is, of course, because preferred holders, as we said, are ahead of the common shareholders in the capital structure, so they get paid, they get made whole before holders of the common stock. And until true MNAV, in other words, market cap divided by BTC holdings, gets back above 1.0, which may never happen again. There's no reason this has to happen. And if you were an MSTR shareholder, as it approaches 1.0, it gets slightly above that, you begin to realize that it's time to get, there's going to be another offering of stock. Again, it's accretive if it's above 1.0, but this is a natural pressure that forces MNAV back closer to 1 or below. So basically, Saylor needs to keep selling more and more Stretch, this preferred offering, in order to fund both the payment of dividends for Stretch and for the other share classes, the other preferreds, and for the convertibles, and also to buy more Bitcoin. I think I misspoke there. I'm not sure any of the convertibles have, maybe they have a very low interest rate. Some of them are at 1%, but they're in the process of rolling off the books. They're relatively small at this point, and Saylor has been, as we said, buying some of them back. So basically, his only financing vehicle right now, until MNAV gets above, true MNAV gets above 1.0, is to sell more and more Stretch, or come out with the latest, greatest preferred stock, which he seems to like to do. They always talk about, this is the one that I would sell to my grandmother. And then 6 months later, he's got another one that's even safer and even better. So a bit of a salesman's tactics going on here. Now, he could sell Bitcoin where we are here to buy back MSTR shares, which would be accretive at MNAVs under 1.0, where we are now at about 0.9. But he probably doesn't want the headlines about Saylor dumping Bitcoin. So for now, Saylor needs to keep moving inventory like a sleazy used car salesman, retweeting scammy DeFi protocols built on Ethereum, as we've talked about before, because these protocols are taking down or buying lots of Stretch. This really, promoting DeFi protocols, this would have been unthinkable, I think, only 12 months ago for Bitcoin's most famous quote unquote toxic Bitcoin maxi. So unfortunately, Saylor has burned his reputation, as far as I'm concerned, in the community, and become the kind of shitcoiner that he used to make fun of in his interviews. Here he is reposting a Chainlink thing. Strategy is now on-chain, powered by Saturn Credit. These are all these scammy shitcoins and DeFi protocols. And Saylor retweeting Saturn has crossed 10 million total value locked on the BNB chain. This is the Binance chain. So this is just unbelievable to see from a supposed Bitcoin maximalist. And make no mistake about it, these DeFi protocols are all going to end up blowing up at the end of the day, wrecking the poor, naive retail investors who use them to turbocharge their Stretch dividends. If you're getting paid 11.5%, and then you're going to try to lever that up using various DeFi protocols, that is extremely, extremely risky. As Manuel Arios writes here, I now consider all DeFi to be unsafe, just basically because of the AI attack surface. This is the problem with having smart contracts. If there are any flaws in it, AI is going to find that. And so I reposted this saying, somebody better tell Saylor, who keeps recommending DeFi protocols for his Stretch. And Saylor spent a lot of time, he spent years talking about why the Bitcoin blockchain keeps itself so lean and mean at the fundamental blockchain, at layer 0, at the base layer, simply because you want it to be sound and secured. And so now that he's encouraging people to take what is already a risky security like Stretch and lock it up in these very dangerous smart contracts, I think is a big mistake. Stretch is turning out to be, again, not a product for institutional investors who somehow can't buy Bitcoin, which itself is a bit of a joke, but rather just another high yield Wall Street financial product that's being dumped on naive retail investors who think that the risk profile of this product is equivalent to a money market, when it's clearly not, as we said earlier. And here's strategy itself saying 80% of Stretch is held by retail investors, basically people taking on risk who have no idea what they're doing. I think instead we should be onboarding these retail investors into Bitcoin in self-custody rather than into securities in a brokerage account. And don't give me all that crap about how Bitcoin is too volatile, so we don't need Wall Street products for people with paper hands. We don't. You might start out being a weak fiat-minded person when you first start hodling, but you become a strong person by learning how to hodl Bitcoin through all of the ups and downs, and it makes you a much stronger individual in many areas of your life. Many of you were on the 2021 to 2022 bear market roller coaster with me on this channel, down to $15,000 from $69,000 per coin. It wasn't pleasant, but most of us are still here and much stronger for it. So this bear market, I would say, is pretty easy by comparison. If you love your fellow human beings, you should onboard them into Bitcoin and self-custody. If you love people, this is what you should do. And you should teach them how to verify their Bitcoin and use it by running a node. You should onboard them into another stupid stonk like Saylor's doing as sort of a Bitcoin affinity scam. I love Bitcoin, buy my preferred stock. What Saylor's doing at this point is basically just stacking sats for Coinbase custody. Who knows who's going to end up owning these sats in the fourth turning? It could be the Chinese government. It could be the North Korean government. It's more likely it's going to be the US government or some faction of intel agencies. So Saylor's stacking sats for Coinbase custody and also diverting new potential Bitcoiners into Wall Street products that do absolutely nothing to help with Bitcoin adoption. It's made even worse by the fact that Saylor's repeatedly refused to provide proof of reserves for the Bitcoin that these various custodians are holding. And I think the fact that Bitcoin's price is so dead in the water, in spite of the Bitcoin ETFs and strategies purchases and having a Bitcoin-friendly president, in spite of all this, we're still just in the doldrums here, slowly leading me to believe that there may be a fair amount of paper Bitcoin being created at these custodians as well. And so this may be one reason why strategy buying $62 billion worth of Bitcoin hasn't really helped us get that much higher. Why are we only $5,000 above the 2021 high of 69,000 in spite of so much Wall Street and nation state, quote unquote, adoption? Of course, a lot of this also has to do with Bitcoin Core going rogue in the last year and related Bitcoin governance problems, which, to be clear, Saylor has also provided exactly zero help with. Why should he work with us to help to solve Bitcoin's very real problems like mining pool centralization, the spam problem, the Bitcoin Core governance problem, when he can instead pontificate about digital credit and digital energy and nourish the cult of personality and sell more securities, which, to be clear, he kind of has to stay on this treadmill. Saylor seems to view node runners as this natural resource that will always be there and that's there to be used, when in fact it's people like you and me shelling out $800 for a new node. And this gets more expensive every year thanks to the spam bloat. It's us shelling out $800 for a new node that makes this whole network work and allows him to then recommend DeFi scams at another layer for people to stretch. It's really quite galling when you think about it. We're the cyber hornets protecting your Bitcoin stash, Saylor. So why don't you get off your ass and stand up for node runners for once? Why don't you actually participate, grow some balls, start participating in consensus discussions like BIP 110? And Saylor needs to realize that blowing open op return and refusing to fix the inscriptions hack, for example, are highly iatrogenic, to use his new favorite adjective. This is iatrogenic, is when you go to the doctor to get something fixed and they end up breaking something and making things worse. This is basically the medical practice that is Bitcoin Core these days. So my hope here, and one of the reasons for making this video, I hope that more Bitcoiners start standing up to Saylor and calling him out on all of his BS. I think he was a very good force for good in the early days, but now he's just completely gone off the deep end, pushing securities, pushing DeFi protocols built on Ethereum, and just unspeakable things like that. And in terms of all his metaphors, sometimes they're useful, sometimes they're not. But it's very important to assert that at the end of the day, Bitcoin is not digital capital. It's not digital energy. It's not digital property. Bitcoin is money. It's digital money. Let's bring that back, that idea. And digital money, Bitcoin as money, will only survive and thrive to the extent that smart and committed Bitcoiners run nodes. And Saylor is definitely not helping us onboard future Bitcoin node operators by running highly misleading ads like this, saying that we turn Bitcoin into money. Absolutely absurd. Bitcoin does not need Saylor, and it does not need strategy. And you as a Bitcoiner don't need his securities either. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
We should have played the ether music in the background. Holy shit. Jor, what's good? Hello, fellas.
What's up,
Green
Jor?
face man. Hey, Jor. Yes. Wow.
Holy shit.
Backpacker, what are your thoughts on that, my friend?
I love it. I think it's phenomenal. I love Crater, bro. I agree. You know me. You know my take on this. I think strategy and stretch and strife and whatever other, word alphabet thing he uses all fucking bullshit and built on a house of cards. And as far as I'm concerned, I feel like it's all fiat, dude. Like it's like literally it's like TradFi trying to like get a stake in the game and riding Bitcoin's coattails. Like I do understand the concepts. Like I get the concepts, but I always come back to the same thing. Why would you not own the underlying asset? Why would you not own the base layer? Why would you not own the money? Why would you not? Why would you? I mean, I feel like when you do that, you're like you're pussyfooting and you're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's like, are you going to go to the TradFi system? Then just go. Like, why are you trying to fence ride and play both? And not to mention the fact that, yeah, I agree. There's got to be some stuff going on in the background. And he's right. He killed him when he said, like, what's up with the price, dude? Like, that's wild. Like, it is wild. And we always question it. I know we're not here for number go up. I know this. But you cannot avoid what's right in front of you. That you do see it. You see it every week. People may not look every day. Some people do not look at the price. And that's fine. But I already know what the price is because I buy every hour on the hour. Because you guys know that's the only way. But every time my hourly buy comes in and I see as I have many sats, I already know what the price is based off of looking at the sats, the Satoshis. So I agree. I think Michael Saylor in the space, I won't say that he's inherently bad for the space. I think he's done a lot of great things and still continues to do a lot of great things. But I am not in the camp about all these dividend things and this and that and this number and MNAV. I feel like it's all just a distraction. Just buy, shut up and just buy some more. And then that's it. And that's it. I will, however, agree. And I will admit to this one myself. I did catch myself calling Bitcoin like digital property and all these things. And I will admit that I do need to bring it back. I do need to like take a step back and say, you know what? No, this is money. Like this is money. And so I will admit that one. You know, and so but respectfully so. And yeah, I just I've always been skeptical of it, and I'm not a fan of all this DeFi, and that's all shitcoin, dude. This is all shitcoin. And if anybody can prove otherwise, like if somebody can convince me this isn't shitcoining, let me know. Because where were the books? Are the books being cooked? Right? And then where's he holding it? So he's holding it on Coinbase? I mean, am I right? Is he holding it somewhere else?
It's on Coinbase, supposedly.
Oh, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, he's just one step above like holding, like doing his taxes on TurboTax, right? Or like, you know, how Sam Bankman-Fried did his thing and how he was, you know, running this $1 billion operation on, you know, some freaking Mickey Mouse structure. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't fuck with it.
Okay. Tell us how you really feel. Trent?
I am okay, so we already put it on record. I only own it because I don't know what the hell else to put it in. I could do iBit, but they're just as crooked. They cook the books just as much. They keep their shit on Coinbase too. And it's $9,000. I don't give a shit if it goes to zero. So it's not even that much money. You know my portfolio. It's 100% Bitcoin. Every hour, $2.10. Straight to strike. You know, once I hit my UTXO to the cold storage. So it's not like it's not anything that affects me. Yeah, I don't like that it's probably suppressing the price, but honestly, that could be it could be BlackRock, could be them, it could be a combination of all three. It sucks, but we'll go through it. It's not going to hold it down forever.
Yes. And full disclosure, I do have MSTR. Again, like Trent, I have a retirement portfolio through Fidelity, and I can cash it out when I'm 59 and a half. I had to make a decision on what I'm gonna buy. And I have 4 companies. I own 4 companies in there. I don't contribute to it anymore. I don't put anything else in it.
Neither do I.
I do have Strategy, a big portion of it. Second, I have Tesla. Third, I have GameStop. And fourth, I have Jack Mahler's company. So full disclosure. Now, also another side of the ledger, like Spaceman said, what's up, Joe and Lauren, by the way? Good to see you guys. There's one thing I've learned about Matthew Cratters. He's always worried about something. He is worried about something, but I think he has a reason to worry, because as a man who is, I think he's about 10 years older than me. He's in his 50s, and a guy in his 60s now, and I'm a guy that's in my early 50s. All my life savings are in Bitcoin. Like, it's just in Bitcoin. So if you worked all your life, and Matthew Cratters older than me, it's not just about your savings, but it's also about escaping this system and saving humanity and changing the system, and using a man that has so much money and so much power, buying that much Bitcoin, and then diverting people over to more of a fiat system based on the Bitcoin. Hey, Stack and Richie, Fidelity, way to go if it does not have to be instantly. Yes, sir. Good to see you, Stack and Richie. George Spaceman, the truth. Hello. You know, I think he's not worried about the number go up. He's worried about the system, us beating the system. That's why he's so, involved with the BIP 110 and the core versus knots. And at the base layer, he may lose, viewerships and stuff like that because people are like tired of him complaining. But I think he's the guy that's like, hey guys, I'm the only one saying this stuff. Like, again, people touch on it, but he's fighting for it because until the battle is won, he's just going to keep fighting. We are not necessarily the intended customers for MSTR. It's just a different form of exposure. Yes, it is. I agree, Spaceman. I agree. Good evening, Jerry, Trent, and BTC Backpacker and all. Yes. Stacking, how are you? Good to see you guys. And so he's fighting the good fight. So I'm with him. Do I call him a worry wart sometimes? Yeah, he worries a little bit too much. But at the end of the day, Saylor did great for Bitcoin. I think he's doing a great job, but now he has pivoted. He has changed. And this just shows you that there is no quote-unquote spokesman for Bitcoin. Like if you had to name somebody 6 months ago, we probably would have said Saylor for the face of Bitcoin, even though, again, we don't have a face for Bitcoin because nobody owns it. But if you had to put one face on it, it'd probably be him or Jack Mallers or whatever. Hey, Lauren. I'm doing well. How are you, sir? So, again, it's tough to see this, but I think we're going to start, again, we have our own political system here in Bitcoin. And again, a lot of Bitcoiners, when you look at their thumbnails, they're talking about strategy, and they're talking about Stretch, and they're talking about Michael Saylor, and we're getting away from what this thing is, and it's Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is money. And so again, I love Michael Saylor and what he's done for us, but at the end of the day, is he a Trojan horse? Is he a Trojan horse? And I'm not talking about in a good way. I'm not talking about the Trojan horse that gets inside the system and breaks the system. Is he the system, the outside system trying to get into Bitcoin breaking it? I don't know. Does he have cruel intentions? I don't think so. I'd like to say he's working with Trump and all them boys, but again, he might have gone too far with this. And now he's stuck with doing what Matthew Cratter said and showing strategy now. Because in order for it to pump up, he has to do what he has to do. But here's the thing, though, man. That's what's crazy to me. I want to touch on this. When he talked about, basically he said paper Bitcoin. He didn't say paper Bitcoin. He didn't say those words. But there's definitely manipulation in the markets, for sure. 100%. So if there's manipulation in the markets, who's causing it? And why are they doing it? And again, I like it personally because we get cheaper sats, of course. That's the good part. But the bad part is the adoption is slowing down because people don't buy until the price goes up. Do you guys believe that? Trent, start with you. Do you guys believe that there is paper Bitcoin out there? And who do you think's doing the paper Bitcoin, if there is paper Bitcoin?
Of course there's paper Bitcoin. You think my brain just went blank. Do you think that exchange fell in 2022? What is that? What's the exchange? The one that crashed in 2022.
Oh, FTX.
FTX. You think that was the only paper Bitcoin out there? Everybody has paper Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If you don't have proof of reserves, you cannot convince me you don't have paper Bitcoin. And the only way to prove it is if your books match your reserves. Other than that, I assume you're arbitraging it, meaning you're lending it out, making interest on top of it, and you don't have it. That's my opinion.
Yes. And again, strategy that has so much Bitcoin, and also the U.S. government. We haven't seen that on it either. Strategy, the U.S. government. I know River shows it. Strike was talking about showing it. Do they show it now?
No.
No, they haven't. Okay. Well, they talked. Jack Mahler's actually at the Bitcoin conference talked about it. Again, the only real Bitcoin that we know for a fact is the people that show the proof of reserves, and like River, they show it. And when you have it, taking it off the exchange and put it in your cold storage, because even when it's on our Strike app, we don't know if that's real or not until we pull it off and put it in a cold storage.
Why you keep very small amounts.
Exactly.
I cap mine at less than 1,000.
Yep, exactly. You take those and pull it away. Backpacker, what do you think? Do you think there's paper Bitcoin and manipulation, and who's causing it?
Absolutely. You got to remember the position this guy has put himself in, whether that was meant to be, or whether he meant to do that or not. There comes a point, even with Jack Mallers, okay? all these figureheads, even Doris, everybody. When you get to the position or the prestige you're in, there becomes a time to where you have to do some conforming, okay? Because you're up there, you're close, okay? You're closer to the money printer, whether we, that term stands true for Sailor. Okay, he's commingling with some pretty big players. Absolutely, there was a manipulation going. We know this. Now, do we know the extent of it? Of course not, we don't. And we might not ever. But here's the thing. The fact of the matter is this, okay? We want to talk about getting to the base layer. The base layer is you buy Bitcoin and you shut your mouth. The base layer is you don't go to these things that have all these moving parts. You don't choose to partake in the shenanigans of DeFi and TradFi and this stock and that stock and this stock and this. There's too many moving parts. Why do we overcomplicate things when they don't need to be complicated? Satoshi said, here you go. Don't fuck it up. And look what's happening. Stupid people doing stupid things. Now listen, I'm not going to take away from what Sailor has done. Okay, I think you give credit where credit's due. Absolutely. And we have to protect. Absolutely. Exactly. And we still have to protect each other. Right. But I don't overthink it. It's built on a house of cards. And we don't know if it's sustainable. We don't know this. But I'll tell you what, just like anything in the real world, the more parts that are in something, the more that there can go wrong. And I am definitely not a freaking fan of getting people into this, into Stretch and whatever, all the other stuff. I don't even go all the word alphabet, okay? With all the stuff. No, you get them in to Bitcoin. You get them into understanding Satoshis. You get them in understanding cold storage. You get them into understanding break away from the TradFi system. This is not doing that. This is like a fence ride. I'm walking the fence. I have some Bitcoin, but then I have this. But then do I really have the Bitcoin? Because technically I don't, right? It's a freaking circus. And I'm so sick and tired of all the people giving it the damn airtime, talking about it. It's become so normalized. We just talk about it over and over again. Who cares? We should be spending... Yeah, exactly. Trent, 0.21, 0.01, blah, blah, blah. All these clicks, algorithm boost nonsense, and it's a complete and utter waste of time. I'll leave it at that.
Preach. Lauren says, too many people pushing the envelope trying to find new ways to make money brings us back to old fiat ways. Like my grandma always said, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. I understand that he's trying to buy more Bitcoin. Sailor, I get it. But again, all money ain't good money, right? And the way he's going about it, based on what Matthew Cratter said and some other things that I've read, again, I'm not a fan of the products. Stretch is obviously for not people like us on this panel and probably 99% of you guys. Because I've heard a couple of you guys say, oh, I'm just going to hold it for 6 months. I wouldn't hold it for 6 days. Me personally, I just wouldn't. Because I don't want to feed into that system. Again, I have strategy, okay? What I'm afraid of, and to answer my own question, absolutely there's paper Bitcoin out there. And again, short term is good for us because we get a cheaper, more sats per dollar. But long term is hurting our adoption because that's what we want. And when the price is lower and the media and the conglomerates and these big boys that are involved that are saying, hey, talk bad about Bitcoin while we buy it. Hey, talk bad about Bitcoin while we accumulate more. Hey, bring out the FUD and all this other stuff. What I'm afraid of, if something happens to BlackRock's holdings of Bitcoin, and more importantly, strategies, I don't like the fact that Michael Saylor's face is attached to Bitcoin. I don't like the fact that strategy and what they got going on, and if it dumps, a.k.a. FTX, a.k.a. circa a la Elon Musk a few years ago when he talked bad about Bitcoin and talked good about Doge, and Doge went up and Bitcoin went down. I don't want any human being to be able to not manipulate, but change the price or what people think about the greatest asset human history has ever seen, right?
Well, you're one Coinbase hack away from that very scenario.
Yeah. Yes. Self custody is the only way. Exactly, my brother. Exactly, Jor. Exactly. Everyone is speculative gambler trying to be rich tomorrow. Yeah. Again, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. Don't be greedy. Right?
Now, I do think that with Crater in particular coming out with this video, I thought it was very well done. He touched on a lot of good points, and he backed it up. You see his presentations, you know how he does his slides. I do think that Crater is slowly becoming, like Spaceman said earlier. Yeah, he's always questioning everything, and everything's always doomsday. But what do they say about conspiracy theorists? Right? Who's not to say that Crater is the person in the space who's just saying the quiet part out loud that nobody else wants to say or has the balls to say, or maybe doesn't even know what they're talking about, but he does, because he's got credibility. So he could be the Alex Jones of this space. I mean, I don't think it's far-fetched to think that.
And there just happened to be money tied to that. Don't blame them.
Right. Jenny Legendary, how are you, ma'am? Good to see you. Yo, is this the right place to find Troll Boy trolling? It is, ma'am. Who was the bank president? Who was the bank president telling his employees not to buy Bitcoin while his bank was setting up their own reserve? Diamond, right? Yeah, Jamie Dimon.
Yeah.
Exactly what he's doing. Again, these people are arsonists and firefighters at the same time. They go behind your house as an arsonist. They will burn. They start a fire at the back of your house, come around the front with a firefighter suit on and say, here, I'm here to help you to put out the fire.
And their buddy will sell the hydrant.
Thank you. My buddy down the street told me hook it up. Again, man, these people make me sick and they're evil. But at the end of the day, we're still, if this asset's going to be here for a few hundred years or 1,000 years or whatever, these are the early days. And these are the things that we have to, the rocky boat, if you will, we have to maintain our footing in the boat, but at the same time, we have to handle the FUD. When again, people are so uninformed. People have no idea what Bitcoin is. Like they really don't know what it is because there's no need to know it and they don't freaking care. You know what I mean?
No. If they think the FUD is bad now, they certainly weren't around during 2018, 2021. So
yeah.
But
that's why
easy mode.
But that's why we also discuss, and it's so important that, like Bitcoin's one aspect of it. We had this conversation off camera earlier, was that Bitcoin is one aspect of it. That's why we always talk about bridging gaps from life into Bitcoin and how you can build those together. Because the thing is that it's the community, it's the friendship, it's the becoming the best version of you. It's the Bitcoin, it's the money, it's exiting that system and giving a big FU. Okay, because we all know we can find anything and everything to complain about or what's screwed up and corrupt, but what are we doing about it? So so Bitcoin is just one aspect, one part, one piece, one pillar of the bigger picture. And that's why with Jerry and Trent and Jor in the chat and Lauren in the chat and all the creators, all the people who are educators, that is extremely. It's going to become more and more important over time. Because everybody can be about Bitcoin and we got to buy Bitcoin. Well, what is it? But we need the individuals to be able to extend and help. Come join the community. Come hang out. I got a guy for you. You know what? I don't know much about that, but I know someone who does. And that's part of that economy. And that is a strength in numbers game because we know unity is a threat, right? We know this, right? We the people, okay? Division. But in Bitcoin, we don't need the divide. We don't need the great divide. We have to stay uniform. We can't save everybody, guys. There's going to be people go rogue. Okay, the core, the knots, the people who want to fork everything. Okay, that's just going to happen. It comes with the territory. But it's really understanding that the community and the educators and it all be encompassed in a whole. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yes. And the major thing, like you said, all this stuff is fiat at the end of the day, with the the stretches and this and that and all this other stuff. We need to use fiat to get out of the system, right? Let it eat itself. Educate people on what the problem is. That's why I always show the debt clock at the end of my shows. That's why I talk to people about inflation and what it is, you know, what the money printer is, you know, things like that. Because in order for people to understand what Bitcoin is, they have to understand that there is a problem and what the problem is and identify it. And that's the basis and the base layer of what we're all about here in Bitcoin, us as educators. Thank you guys so much for joining us. That is it for today. We appreciate and love each and every one of you guys. We will be back next week, obviously, and we will see what's going to happen this week. This week is going to be interesting. I don't know if Matthew Cratter's drawn the line in the sand, because if you guys go and look at that video, and make sure you guys check that Matthew Cratter video out, he got a lot of comments that were going against him. If you look at those comments, and again, I get it. You know what I mean? So watch that video on your own, check out the comments, and let us know what you guys think. All right. We'll see you guys later on this week. Make sure you join Trent tomorrow for the live. Yes. And then I may do a live. It depends, but BTC Backpacker will definitely do a live tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. And Trent will be, what time Eastern? Yeah. Somewhere maybe an hour before then.
Yeah, it's usually about an hour.
Yep. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Jenny. We love each and every one of you guys. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. And until then, and as you guys know, we love each and every one of you, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.